Today we're going to deconstruct your multimodal presentation criteria for your migrant media unit and really look at what exactly we're looking for each of these criteria, and you can use it as somewhat of a checklist to ensure you can achieve the best possible mark for this assessment piece. So for the top criteria here, knowledge and understanding, the first criteria reads as exploitation of a range of speech patterns and conventions to achieve specific purposes. So what we're looking for here is over here, whether you are following the structure that's provided in your task sheet, having an introduction, 2 body paragraphs and a conclusion. You're following the speech aspects that are listed, as in like greeting your audience and including your audience throughout. Having a formal tone, it can be somewhat persuasive, however it isn't a persuasive speech, so just elements might be persuasive just naturally. And with your 2 body paragraphs, you need to make sure that you are either analysing 2 different satirical devices for one text, or you might be doing 2 different texts and then analysing the device used in each of the texts. It's up to you which approach you take. An A is looking at an exploitation of a range of these things to meet those specific purposes. A B is just the effective control of that, and C is just use of. The next criteria is a discerning selection, organisation and synthesis of relevant and substantive subject matter to support opinions and perspectives. So this is all about what's in your speech and what subject matter you've chosen to include. It also is about synthesizing this and discussing it in depth. So you need to be choosing relevant text, so texts that represent that migrant perspective, and they also need to contain some of those devices that we've been looking at in class. Try and use a range of as well. It's not wise to use the same satirical device in both body paragraphs because you're not showing a wide range of subject matter. Also, your time limit comes into here, whether you've met the criteria of 2.5 to 4.5 minutes. Also, whether you, as I said before, are synthesizing your subject matter and discussing it in depth, or rather just stating it, which is about that C or D level, depending how much discussion happens. Also, have you chosen the best satirical devices for that text? So was there perhaps a better choice or a stronger choice that could have proved your point? Also, your multimodal aspect contributes here because that is part of your subject matter and your organisation of this multimodal presentation. So your poster or PowerPoint shouldn't just be a last minute thing that you add on, because you may have a very effective speech but a very poor multimodal which might be sitting down here somewhere, and that's only going to average out and bring your mark down. So just as much effort needs to go into your multimodal as it does your speech itself. The third one here refers to your role as the speaker and your relationships with the audience that are created. So for an A, you're looking for a manipulation and a control of that throughout your presentation. B is just establishment and control of that. And C is establishment and maintenance, basically just of a role. You getting up and speaking, but it still needs to be maintained. Now that can refer to your tone. It is a speech, so you want it to sound like a speech, like you are speaking to an audience, not just an essay that you wrote and are reading out. It should be formal. However, you can have some of those personal touches because it is a speech. Include the audience. This also refers to how well you present your speech. So you might have some lovely language and some great sentences throughout, but if you don't present it very well or very confidently, that could bring your mark down. It also refers to how well you include your multimodal aspect. It should not just be something that is behind you. You should be referring to it and including it in your presentation. So the second criteria refers to you constructing your text. Okay, so the first one is about your language structures, so your sentencing and your writing. Basically, we're looking for your correct sentence construction throughout, a range of different sentences. So short can sometimes be effective, but we want to see a range of different sentence types. Also consider the speech genre and the type of language you're using to include your audience and address the audience. For an A, it's that discerning combination of a range of these things to achieve specific effects. B is just control of, to achieve some effects. And C is just use of, and it's mostly accurate. If you aren't constructing correct sentences, that would be sitting in the D column because it's inconsistent in what you're achieving. The second one is about how cohesive your piece is and linking everything together. So using linking words so that your sentences flow, making sure everything is cohesive and that your ideas link and build upon each other. Also contextualizing your quotes and not just whacking them in there. You need to make sure that they are introduced properly and analysed properly. You also need to be linking back to your thesis, that's part of your cohesion, and linking between paragraphs. So again, an A is that discerning use to develop and emphasise your ideas and connect your ideas. B is that effective use to maintain rather than just emphasise. And C is just some use of some ideas to link your ideas. The third one here is about your use of vocabulary, whether you have a wide range of apt vocabulary and a discerning use of this. So what we're referring to is language that is specific to satire, so using the correct terminology for satire, and also words that are specific to migration and the unit that we've been studying. It also refers to the level of vocabulary that you're using and whether you're using a range of different words. We also want to be seeing some vocabulary that helps analyse and prove your thesis. So again, that discerning use for an A, effective use for a B, and just use of some suitable vocabulary for your purposes for a C. This last criteria in this box refers to your presenting skills. So there's 3 aspects here that you get marked on. So these are color-coded for you. So the first one is the spoken and signed features, and that refers to all of these things here. So pronunciation, phrasing and pausing, audibility and clarity, volume, pace and silence. If you wanted an A for your spoken and signed features, you would need to have a discerning use of all of these things for specific effects. B is an effective use, and just C would be suitable, so maybe you're only using some of these and not all of them. The second part is your non-verbal features, which is just as important as your spoken. Sometimes not utilising your non-verbals can bring this mark down significantly. So this includes your facial expressions to suit your presentation, the use of gestures, so hand movements, pointing to your PowerPoint, including your poster, things like that, gesturing to the audience to emphasize your point, things like that. Proximity is about where you're standing in reference to your PowerPoint and your poster. You don't want to be blocking that. Also your proximity within the audience. Are you leaning on the whiteboard? Things like that. So making sure your proximity to all aspects like the PowerPoint and the audience is appropriate. Stance and movement is how you're standing and presenting yourself. It is a formal presentation, so you want to be standing confidently and your movement needs to be appropriate. So, dancing on the spot or moving from foot to foot on the spot is not appropriate use of movement. So that would vary in suitability for your presentation. The last one is complementary features, and in this case that refers to your multimodal. It's not the only time we mark you on your multimodal. Your multimodal does come up in some of the things up here as well and below. But your multimodal can either be a PowerPoint or a poster, but you need to make it really interactive. So consider having, transitions and graphics on your PowerPoint if you're choosing a PowerPoint, some still and moving images, so using animations and making it engaging to assist your presentation. Your design elements come into play. Is it easy to read? Are your headings really nice and bold? Is the font big enough and easy enough to read? Things like that. You may even want to incorporate sound effects or music. You might have found a clip of your text that you want to play. Just get creative with what you want to do. You should be referring to your PowerPoint as well, or your poster. If you're using a poster, think about how you can make it interactive and refer to it in your presentation. The last one is about your analysis. So This is when you're interpreting your text. The first one is a discerning analysis of the ways ideas, attitudes and values underpin text and influence audiences. So this links directly to the task question and your thesis about satire being able to break down serious societal issues like migration. So this is about you linking your arguments to the thesis in your analysis of the different satirical devices, and then making sure you're linking to this thesis at the end of your paragraphs and throughout your piece. If you're not linking to your thesis and proving your thesis, then you aren't going to do very well in this criteria, because you're not actually meeting the task requirements. So analysis of is for a C, an effective analysis is for a B, and a discerning analysis is for an A, and that's where your analysis would be implicitly embedded throughout, not just a statement of the thesis at the end of your paragraph. The second one refers to your quote choice or your evidence choice. So what from the text are you choosing to include to support your arguments? And then also, how well have you analysed and explained these? So this is talking about the representations of concepts, identities, times and places in text. So this would be basically your ability to explain the migrant's perspective through those evidence choices that you've made, or the quotes or the pictures or whatever devices you've decided to analyse, or the examples of those devices. So you need to make sure that you actually have specific evidence to support what it is you're saying, not just general evidence. So subtle and complex is for an A, effective evaluation for a B, and just evaluation of for a C. The last one is a holistic approach to your presentation. We're marking you on quite a few things here. So it's the holistic nature of the piece, the overall ability for you to link and prove your thesis, the evidence that you chose to do that, and also your analysis of that evidence to meet the task question. We're also going to look at the effectiveness of your multimodal within your overall presentation. Did it support your arguments? Did you include it? Did it look good? And did it add value to your speech, basically? Okay, so this isn't just a speech, it is a multimodal presentation, so just as much effort needs to go into that multimodal aspect as it does apply to multiple criteria throughout, and having a great speech with a poor multimodal aspect could really bring your mark down.